Let's get honest. You've spent years getting to know other people, what they like, what they need, what they expect. But when was the last time you asked yourself, what do I want? You see, we're taught how to fit in, how to please, how to perform, but we're never taught how to know who we truly are beneath the noise. And that's why most people feel lost. Not because they're broken, but because they've been disconnected from themselves for so long, they've forgotten what real alignment even feels like. But not you. Not anymore. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to peel back the layers and reconnect with your true identity. Not the version shaped by fear, not the version edited for others, but the one that's been quietly waiting inside you this whole time. Let's take that journey back home, back to you. Get quiet. Your true self doesn't yell. You can't know yourself in the noise. And that's the first truth people miss. In a world that's always loud, always scrolling, talking, rushing, comparing, it's no wonder so many people feel lost. They're trying to find themselves in the middle of a storm. But let me tell you something powerful. Your real self doesn't shout. It whispers, and you can only hear it when you get quiet. Not just quiet around you, quiet within you. That means turning down the noise of the world and learning to sit with your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own questions. No music, no distractions, no answers from Google. Just you, a journal maybe, and some stillness. Because that's when your real voice starts to rise to the surface. The one that isn't influenced by what others expect, or what society praises, or what fear keeps repeating. The voice that says, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what matters to me. Getting quiet is about learning to listen, not to others, but to yourself. It's about recognizing the difference between the voice in your head that's been programmed by pressure, pain, or people, and the deeper voice in your soul that's been there since the beginning. And here's the truth. If you never take time to get quiet, you'll keep living someone else's life. You'll keep chasing someone else's dreams. You'll keep reacting instead of creating. So if you're serious about knowing yourself, start with 10 minutes a day. Sit in silence. Let the discomfort rise. Let the truth come forward. And just listen. Because self-knowledge isn't found in more noise. It's found in the quiet corners of your soul. 2, separate the voice of fear from the voice of truth. If you really want to know yourself, you must learn to tell the difference between two voices inside you. Fear and truth, they both speak to you every day, but they sound very different if you learn how to listen. See, fear is loud, fear is urgent. Fear says, don't try. It says, what if you fail? Fear says, they'll laugh at you or you're not ready. Fear always wants to keep you in the safe zone, in the comforts, and it wears 1,000 disguises. Perfectionism, procrastination, self-doubt. People-pleasing, it's not always obvious. Sometimes fear sounds reasonable. Sometimes it pretends to be logic. But underneath, it's just scared. Now contrast that with the voice of truth. Truth is calm. Truth is grounded. It doesn't yell. It does need to beg you to listen. It whispers with confidence. You are made for more. It says you're stronger than you think. It tells you what you need to hear, not what's convenient or easy. Truth doesn't play games. It guides you straight, even if the path is hard. The problem is, most people are so used to fear that they mistake it for truth. They've been hearing fear's voice for years through teachers, parents, friends, society, and they've started calling it reality. But here's what you have to understand. Fear is not your truth. Fear is just the leftover echo of past pain. It's a reaction, not a revelation. To know yourself, you must separate the two. You must watch the voices that show up when you try something new. You must ask, is this fear trying to protect me from discomfort? Or is this truth guiding me toward growth? One keeps you stuck. The other sets you free. And here's the good news. You get better at telling them apart with practice. Start small. Listen to your thoughts before you make a decision. Ask yourself, is this voice helping me expand or making me shrink? Is this voice grounded in love or built on anxiety? Is this voice trying to protect my ego or develop my soul? Every time you silence fear and choose truth, even if it's scary, even if it's uncomfortable, you take a step closer to your real self. And the more steps you take, the more clearly you'll know who you really are. Because your truth has been waiting for you beneath all that fear. 3. Ask better questions. If you want to truly know yourself, you have to stop asking shallow questions and start asking the right ones. See, most people go through life asking the same tired questions. Why am I like this? Why can't I be more confident? Why do I always mess up? And guess what? Your mind will always give you an answer, even if it's not the truth. Ask it why you're a failure, and it'll say, because you're not good enough. Ask it why you never succeed, and it'll dig up every old mistake you've ever made. Ask poor questions, and you'll get poor answers. But powerful self-awareness starts with powerful questions. Instead of asking, why am I broken? Ask, what am I here to learn from this? What does this emotion want me to understand? What pattern keeps showing up in my life, and what is it trying to teach me? Those questions open doors. They don't judge you, they reveal you. Let's say you feel anxious every time you're around people. A weak question would be, why can't I just be normal? A better question, what's the story I've been telling myself about being seen? Or whose voice did I internalize that made me think I'm not enough? Those are the questions that heal. Those are the questions that set you free. The truth is, your life is always trying to talk to you. Every experience, every trigger, every repeated cycle. They're not there to torment you. They're messengers. But you have to be curious to listen. You have to slow down and ask better questions. Questions that go deeper than blame. Questions that seek clarity, not comfort. Questions that make you uncomfortable but free. Try asking yourself these. What do I believe I deserve in life? And where did that belief come from? What am I avoiding by staying busy? What would I do if I wasn't scared of looking stupid? When do I feel most like myself? And what environments make me shrink? The quality of your life will always match the quality of your questions. So ask better ones. The truth is already inside you. It's just waiting for you to dig deep enough to find it, or stop lying to yourself. If you really want to know who you are, you've got to get honest. Brutally honest. Because the truth is, most people don't live in reality. They live in the story they've told themselves. A story built on old pain, broken promises, and things they've never taken time to face. They tell themselves they're okay when they're not. They say they're over it when they haven't healed. They pretend they're happy while slowly falling apart inside. But here's the thing. You can't become your true self if you're still clinging to a false version of you. Lying to yourself might protect your ego, but it kills your growth. You can't change what you won't confront, and you can't confront what you keep hiding from. Stop telling yourself it's not that bad when it is. Stop saying this is just who I am, when deep down you know it's not. Stop blaming other people for wounds you haven't taken responsibility for. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment everything can change. It's uncomfortable. It stings. It strips away your excuses. But that's where the real you lives. Beneath the lies, beneath the masks, beneath the stories that kept you small. Ask yourself, what am I pretending not to know? Where am I settling and calling it acceptance? What lies do I keep repeating so I don't have to grow? Well, maybe you keep saying you're not ready when the truth is you're scared. Maybe you keep saying you're fine when the truth is you've been numb for a long time. Maybe you keep saying you're over them, but every night you still check if they watched your story. No judgment here, just truth. Because truth is the only thing strong enough to carry you forward. Here's the hard pill. You will never build a life you're proud of while living in denial. You will never know yourself if you're always avoiding yourself. And you will never feel truly powerful until you stop hiding from your own reflection. But once you stop lying to yourself, you stop waiting for others to fix it. You stop playing small, and you start becoming dangerously honest and dangerously free. 5, own your story, even the messy parts. You will never truly know yourself until you stop running from your past and start owning it. Not just the highlights, not just the achievements, not just the parts that look good on a resume or a social media post, but the mess, the mistakes, the things you're ashamed of, the heartbreaks, the failures, the decisions you regret, all of it. Because that's your story, and your story is your power. We live in a world that tells you to hide your scars, to act like you've always had it figured out, to pretend like your journey's been smooth. But the truth, the most powerful people you'll ever meet are the ones who've made peace with their mess. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. You cannot grow from a chapter you won't even read. Listen, your past doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. Your pain didn't happen to break you. It happened to build you. And your scars, they're proof you survived what was meant to destroy you. The moment you stop hiding your story is the moment you stop hiding you. Because you are not your worst day. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not the lies they told you, or the lies you started believing about yourself. You are the one who got back up. You are the one who kept going. You are the one who is still here, still fighting, still learning, still growing. So stop waiting until you're perfect to be proud of who you are. There is strength in your honesty. There is freedom in your transparency. There is beauty in your brokenness. When you learn how to hold it with love instead of shame. You want to know yourself? Then stand in front of the mirror, look your past in the eyes, and say, yes, that happened. And I'm still here. Yes, I made mistakes, but I am not a mistake. Yes, it was messy, but it made me real. Because once you own your story, nothing and no one can use it against you again. 6. Define success for yourself. One of the most important parts of knowing yourself is defining what success actually means to you. Because if you don't define success for yourself, the world will define it for you. And let's be honest, the world has no idea who you are, what your soul needs, or what will actually make you fulfilled. Most people are chasing someone else's dream. They're climbing ladders that lead to empty rooftops. They're achieving, collecting, proving, and still feeling hollow. Because success that doesn't align with your truth will never satisfy your spirit. So stop and ask yourself, what does success look like to me? Not to my parents, not to society, not to social media, not to the crowd, but to me, what makes me feel alive. What kind of life do I want to wake up to? What kind of impact do I want to make? What values do I want to live by? Maybe for you, success isn't about being famous. It's about being free. Maybe it's not about making millions. It's about making a difference. Maybe it's not about being busy. It's about being at peace. Or maybe it's all of those things, or none of them. That's the beauty of self-awareness. You get to choose. And once you define success on your own terms, you stop comparing. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop living by other people's timelines. Because now you're not performing, you're living with purpose. So write your own definition. Define what winning looks like in your game of life. Because if you don't know where you're going, every distraction looks like an opportunity. The moment you define success for yourself, you take your power back. You stop being a follower of trends and become the creator of your own legacy. 7. Pay attention to what you can't ignore. There are things in your life, feelings, thoughts, whispers, that keep showing up. No matter how busy you get, no matter how hard you try to distract yourself, they always return. That dream you keep shelving, that voice that says, this isn't it, that deep restlessness when you're doing what you're supposed to do, but not what you're called to do. That's not noise, that's your truth trying to speak to you, and you've got to start listening. See, most people numb that voice. They drown it in scrolling, binge watching, overworking, or people pleasing. But the truth has a way of rising again and again until you pay attention. And if you don't listen gently, life will start shouting. Sometimes it shows up as anxiety. Sometimes as burnout. Sometimes it's that gnawing feeling in your chest that says, something's not right. These aren't enemies. These are signals, signs from your deeper self that something in your life isn't aligned. Maybe you keep feeling drawn to write, to create, to move, to speak. Maybe you feel trapped in a job that pays the bills but starves your soul. Maybe you've been ignoring a relationship that drains you, or avoiding a boundary you need to set. Whatever it is, if it keeps tapping you on the shoulder, it's time to turn around and face it. Because the parts of yourself you keep ignoring are often the keys to the life you truly want. They hold your passion, your purpose, your next chapter. And here's the truth. The more you ignore your inner voice, the more your outer life starts to fall out of sync. But when you start honoring what you can't ignore, you find clarity. You unlock energy. You step into alignment. So stop brushing off those nudges. Start writing them down. Sit with them. Ask them what they're trying to tell you. That quiet pull you feel toward something new or away from something old. That's your soul trying to guide you. And if you want to truly know yourself, you have to listen. Because the loudest truth often comes in the quietest moments. Closing. So here's the truth. Knowing yourself isn't a one-time decision. It's not a weekend retreat or a motivational quote on your wall. It's a daily commitment. The choice to slow down, to pay attention, and to tell yourself the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Because when you know yourself, truly know yourself, everything changes. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop living on autopilot. You stop pleasing people who don't even know who they are. And instead, you build a life that fits you, a life that reflects your values, your voice, your calling. You start walking in your own power, without apology, without pretending. So give yourself the space. Ask the hard questions. Listen more than you speak. And most of all, trust what you find inside. Because no matter how lost you've felt, no matter how long you've ignored the signs, the way back to your true self has always been there, waiting for you to come home. Know yourself, be yourself, and watch everything change.